Hey guys, so we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to continue on with our Tendu exercise. I'm going to do a variation of the Tendu exercise that we did at camp, just to get our feet moving a little bit more. Now when we work on Tendus, it's basically working on things like turnout, and we're going to be working on a little bit more of articulating our feet, which is going to be really, really important when we do any of our visuals with gym this summer. So this is going to help us warm up our feet and get it ready to either point or flex or do whatever we need them to do. So I'm just going to start out. We're going to start in a first position like we did for our plie exercise. And it's going to be really important for you to see my feet. When we do our tendu, we'll probably add in arms like I said for our plie, but it's the most important for you to understand what your legs are doing and what your feet are doing. So when working through a tendu exercise, we're going to always start in a first position. So we're going to keep that even 45. You're going to start with your hands on your hips, just like we talked about, so that we can concentrate on whether or not we're sinking into each hip as we're going from side to side. Okay. Now when doing a tendu, you want to start the initiation of your turnout in that hip. So you're going to feel it initiate from your hip, and it's going to rotate back underneath through your inner thigh. It's going to feel really natural for you when we go out to grip that quad to get through that point that we're looking for, but we really want to feel like we're initiating that turnout from our hip and squeezing in through our inner thigh and bringing it forward. And I talked a little bit about an analogy during our camp. If I were to draw like a smiley face on your inner thigh, you would see that as I was pushing forward through my tendu. So in terms of your body, you want to feel it initiate from your hip joint, starting to wrap around through the underside of your leg, and then finish up through that foot, that toe. Okay? So when going through that, your front tendu position, we're going to start out with just some easy tendus. So you're going to take 4 counts to go out and in. So we're going to go out for 2, in for 2. Now when going through your front tendu, you want to, if I were to draw a straight line on the ground through where my heels are placed, your front tendu would be placed right next to that line. So we don't want to overcross so that our foot is in line with where that line would be. It wants to be a little bit off to the side so that when we bring it back into first, it's a nice even position. So when going through your tendu, we're going to go out for 2, 1, 2. From here, the only thing that should be on the ground is your big toe. So you're finding that rotation through that hip, through your inner thigh, pushing it forward, feeling that heel come forward. But then, as we begin to bring that foot off the ground, we only have the big toe on the ground. Now, when we are talking about pointing our foot, you want to feel the stretch from the top of your foot. A lot of people tend to point this way, which technically that's correct with your toes, but you want to feel that point happen through the top of your foot so that your toes are pointing directly into the ground. When I point, it feels, when I first started dance, I thought I was pointing my toes because people say, well, point your toes. Yeah, that makes sense, but you really want to point your foot, which starts from the top of that ankle all the way down through the top of your foot with your toe ending directly into the ground, okay? So, when we do our tendu, we go out for 2, in for 2, out for 2, in for 2. I'm just going to start off with those. So starting off with your right foot, 5, 6, 7, 8, push out for 2, in for 2, out for 2, in for 2. Now when you notice as I push out, I'm taking all 2 counts to get out and all 2 counts to get in. So make sure we're not making these too fast as we go out, and we don't have any moment of pause. So we go out for 2, in for 2, out for 2, in for 2. Okay, good. So we're going to start now with our second position. Now when we go through our second, we're going to think about those legs taking a direct pathway up through that 45 that we were talking about. So don't try and bring those hips too open because that's going to feel unnatural for most of us. You want to keep them at an even 45 out in front of you while keeping that pelvis locked down into the ground. Okay? So when we go out into our second, you're going to have that same rotation happen. Rotate through that hip. Feel like we are presenting that inner thigh and heel forward, and the only thing that should be on the ground is that big toe. So we're going out to that second. Same thing's going to happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm just going through the first 2 on each side with you just so you can see where your leg alignment should be. Now here is the harder one, which is going to our back tendu. It's going to feel, one of the easiest things to do for back tendu is to go out to that side because it feels like you're going back, but really your back placement wants to be directly behind you, which is pretty difficult to do if it's the first time you've been doing a back tendu. So make sure, like we talked about that straight line going through our heels, that our leg is going to match up just directly on the side of that line. So when we go back for 2, 1, 2, my leg is directly behind me. I'm not sinking into that hip. I'm pushing that hip back in line and keeping just that big toe on the ground. Okay? The same thing's going to happen when you slide back into first. Now, something that I haven't talked about that's pretty easy to do in terms of tendus is going to be softening your knee as you come in. So once you're out for 2, make sure you're still keeping that leg nice and straight and locked as you come back in for 2. Especially when we go through the side, it's the most vulnerable to see that leg bend as we come in. From the side, you want to directly lock that knee in and keep it nice and straight. Okay? So let's go through the full exercise because we're going to talk about some flexing and some pointing. So to start off, we're going to go from our first. We're going to go through the whole exercise in first, then go to our second, back, then back to second. And then we're going to switch sides. Left front, left side, left back, back to left side. So in this exercise, we're going to go out for 2, in for 2, out for 2, in for 2. From here, you're going to push out for 2, flex for 2. From here, when we flex, we want to feel that energy driving through our heel. So you want to feel your heel press forward, and then your toes are going to curl up after that. When we flex our foot, you don't want to think about the flex just happening from our toes. You want to feel it through the heel of your foot. So it can really get that flex going, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from here. We have 9, 10, 11, 12, still presenting that heel, 13, 14, 15, 16, okay? Now we're going to add in some quick tendus at the end. So this is just to get us warmed up. So from here, we're going to go back out to our second after we do our first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, flex 3, 4, point 5, 6, 7, 8. Same to the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, flex 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And repeat on the left side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So after we go through, we're going to do front, side, back, side. So I just ended on the back. You would do one more to the side as we go through. Okay? Now, after you do that, I want you to start working on a little bit faster of a tendu. And we're going to be doing 4 fast tendus to each position. So instead of doing out for 2, in for 2, you're going to go out 1, in 2. So you're going to take 4 counts for each side. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, other side. 2, 3, and 4, out 5, 6, 7, 8 to the back. 2, 3, and 4 to the side. 6, 7, 8. Good. And then as we go through and we practice doing all these exercises, I'm going to add more complicated plie and tendu and release exercises, but I just want to start off with the basics so we can understand where our body placement is. So that's going to be the basic of tendu for front, second, back, and then back to second. Next, I'm going to send you a release exercise video just so we can complete all the things that we did at camp, and then I'll have more videos ready for you in a few weeks.